Welcome, everyone, to Georgia. Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway as we present tonight's ARCS A2 Cup Series race. The intensity picking up here as the playoffs get closer and closer to becoming a reality. Some drivers already locked into the playoffs. This will be a walk in the park. For others, this could be a last chance gasp to get themselves to that round of 16 when it begins in a little over 2 months' time. I'm Carmen Sienna alongside me, Kevin Young, to present tonight's action here at Atlanta. Qualifying underway, has been underway for a few minutes now. Kevin, this is a very polarizing track now with the reconfiguration, but we've seen a lot over the last couple of years. What are these drivers looking at tonight?
Well, if we were going off what we saw during the Xfinity race last night, it's feeling a bit more of a bumpier surface. But otherwise than that, though, it's a situation where the high line and the high center is where you're going to want to be on the aggressive. And if you're going to try to make a pass, that's where you want to do it. Because on the low groove, it's a passing lane, but it's very hard to stick it on the low groove and make a run happen unless you get support with you. So you're going to see a lot of cars during this race when it gets maybe possibly single file during some of the middle stages, kind of just taking some breathing rooms and running that middle-ish to high groove to make sure they bring the car home safely in a good position. And one more clarification is that even though this may be for some drivers, like you said, they're locked in, they don't have to worry about it. Other drivers, this is probably one of the last, like you said, last gaps at a chance to get into the playoffs, this in Daytona. So you're going to have to go aggressive. It's not panic button yet, but if you go in Daytona without a win and you need a win, that's when the panic button is going to be pressed. But this is another good chance for some of these drivers to get themselves in the playoffs with a good finish and a win, I should say.
23 cars set to take part in tonight's event. 22 have set a lap in qualifying. Steven Oberstadt currently on pole position as it sits at the moment. The only driver not set a time so far, Tommy Withers, who won at Las Vegas near the beginning of the season. Irish George moved to third place behind John Smeal ahead of Bren Roberts, who was one of the first drivers to set qualifying time. So very unusual at the front of the field for all four of these drivers in the top four. Not used to being where they're at right now. But Steven Oberstadt and John Smeal, you can tell it's a plate race because these drivers have come in to fight. Last few races at Atlanta have produced first-time winners in this series. The last season's summer race was won by Jonathan Homebrink. The race earlier this spring was won by Dustin Painter. Both of them getting their first career wins here at Atlanta. Do we go 3 for 3 tonight here at Atlanta Motor Speedway? We're going to find out here in just a moment's time. Qualifying almost done. Pull up the timer here. About 2 minutes left in qualifying as most of the drivers have set their qualifying times. Again, if you're joining us here for a wonderful Sunday worth of racing, thank you all. This is Carmen Sienna and Kevin Young presenting the A2 Cup Series at Atlanta. 22 cars are set lap time so far. All of them being led by Steven Oberstadt. Running a part-time schedule. Actually, I believe he's full-time. I believe.
I think he got moved back. I'll check right now, but I know he was moved, but at the start of the window, he was moved. I'm trying to see if he was moved back, so let me go to teams. Oh, yep, he's now back to full-time again. So he was a part-time driver, and now he's back to full-time. So that win he does have, because remember, he was the winner at Talladega, the last plate race we were at. He won, so he has that win with him being locked into the playoffs. Being a full-time driver, he's now locked into the playoffs, so he's playing with house money, but a second win would always look nice on the mantle.
Yeah, a little bit less pressure there for Oberstadt. John Smeal, a part-time driver, not eligible for the playoffs as they sit right now. You'd be looking at someone like Irish George, who does not have a win yet. Jack Mulkey is another driver who's not had a win yet. They're not locked in. Neither is Ryan Pinnell. This is his home race. Number 12 Machine has had a really good run of form so far this season. I really could say a career year for that 12 car. But still looking for his first win in this series over 2 years in.
Honestly, it's a good chance for him to get that win. Another example I'm thinking of right now is Line Power Motorsports. They already got one win so far with Feather Place, where he got that win. But we've seen at the plate races and on the tracks, Emma Kruger, Edward Marshall, Tom Sears, the boss, all have had good, strong performances, but neither of those three drivers I just listed were able to get in the victory lane. And looking at the constructors right now, it's relatively close between Beach Bandit and Sunday Monday Racing. Line Power Motorsport, it's not that far away. So get a win here, you lock winning drivers into the playoffs if it's not someone that already has a win, and in turn, it builds up and gets that constructor battle much closer and give them some breathing room for Beatron.
All right. Here we go. Heat race number 1 for the ARCS Hampton 250. This, obviously, for those that aren't familiar with this track here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, located just south of Atlanta in the town of Hampton. But this is what Heat 1's grid's going to look like. Again, the front two locked in based on qualifying orders. So Stephen Oberstadt and John Smill, they get to skip this process. ARCS George, Jack Mulkey, they will start in the front row for heat number 1. Ryan Pinelka and Feemster in row 2. Then Toby Estes and Kruger row 3. Tom Sears and Mike LaJoy sit in row 4. Bradley Wright and Matthew Leiter sit in row 5. And Tommy Withers will start from the back of the field in row 6 by himself.
Honestly, with these heat races, this is probably the plate races or the super speedways are the races where if you start in the back, it's not a detriment, but it's also if you want to try to get an advancement in qualifying procedure, this is one of the best situations to do it. This track and maybe the road courses as well. So it's going to be a kind of a mixed bag of cards here. Some probably going to want to drift to the back, others want to hold station, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how it all plays out with these drivers and how they want to develop their strategies.
We're going to find out here how aggressive everyone wants to be, because bonus points are on the line for these heats. So there is a method to trying to do well in these heats for those that can pull it off. Question is, how much do you give up trying to do that? We're going to find out. It's going to be an 8-lap heat here tonight. There'll be 2 of them. This determines the inside lane from rows 2 on back. The second heat determines the outside lane for rows 2 on back. So, a little bit of fighting to do before we get to the main course.
I will say one more thing. STK, great program, but can also be a little finicky, as I've experienced some technical difficulties on my side, but just got those ironed out. And away we go, leaving the pit lane. Gonna be Alfred George and Mulkey, like you said. And Alfred George, not a place you usually... great driver, probably a great person, but this is not a situation where we usually see him leading the front row of a grid.
Yeah, this is not ARCS George's forte. He's very much a closing driver. He's not a driver that starts out front. He makes his way... He really shines... You really see him like in Heat 3. Or not Heat 3, but in like Stage 3 in the races where he starts kind of chipping his way forward.
Yeah.
He's very much more, I would say, more methodical in that approach. He's very quiet, typically. We don't see him up front, as you mentioned there, much at all. His best qualifying position coming into this race, outside the top 10.
Yep. So, at the very least, he's looking good to match it. Obviously, let's knock on wood real fast, or else we're going to get a knock on the door from Alfred George saying why he jinxed him. But
we're fine. He's in the Bahamas. We're good.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Regardless, though, it's going to be quite interesting to see how this plays out. And, yeah, Alfred George, like I said, a lot of drivers up in the front. Maybe not used to being up there, but we're going to see if they can keep those qualifying positions. The pace car is going to take the hard right. We're going to wait for the green flag here.
Green flag is in the air, and Heat 1 is underway. Really good start there by ARCS George. But as you're going to see here, this track's going to race sort of like a plate track. It's going to race like a mini Daytona.
Ooh, oh yeah, and considering like we saw last night in the Xfinity race, very bumpy too. Bumps are starting to form in the abrasion, and you're going to be probably a couple years, a couple scans. It's going to be exactly like the 2008 Daytona in the iRacing catalog. But right now, Alfred George is going to hold the lane. And this is what you're going to see, is it's going to be kind of single file running, and for the most part, until a driver wants to try to make a move, and then they're going to need to get some help or assistance to try to make that work. And right now, they're kind of hugging that middle of the low grid. Alfred George leaving the door open a crack. Can't get away with that. Can get away with it here. But later in the race, Mulkey's going to fill that. And Alfred George is going to probably go around if he's not careful. But right now, you can see Sears trying to lead the second line. A little bit of a boxy as Briley Wright and that red, white, and blue Cheddar's machine is going to form his way to the high side.
Now George leads over Jack Mulkey with, I believe, Ryan Pinnell in a
Correct.
new look for tonight's event. Again, this is Ryan Pinnell's home race. Living in Good Hope. Right now sitting top 3.
Rocking that baby blue Good Hope machine. Actually, High Noon, my mistake. You said Good Hope, and it confused me for a second. High Noon machine. And there's Jack Mulkey going to try to work his way to the top line. Alfred George has the opportunity to push here, but it's going to allow Pinnell. He's going to have to pick a line here and settle, or else he's going to get split.
Outside lane has a lot more momentum. You can tell Mulkey wanted to go to the front. The 2022 Airhead 500 winner makes his way forward. A little bit of a grab of the wall there by Leiter.
Oh!
And there's, Ryan Pinnell knows that it's time to go.
Yep. Alfred George got hung out to dry there. Kind of a little bit indecisive. I think the high line, because we've seen from previous races, the high line is where you want to be. And right now, he'll get that lesson learned. A lot of drivers are going to take that note. But as we get 4 to go here, Tom Sears up to the point. He's going to lead the charge with Kevin Feemster in tow behind. And you got that Oregon Jack Mulkey machine on the low side with help from Briley Wright. They're going to get argy-bargy here. And honestly, I feel like I kind of want to be a couple more rows back, because I feel like they're not bringing it to the flag here while the car is still running.
With how small this group is, I feel like they're fine right now as they sit. I mean, it would be a safe bet no matter what. And there's a lot of plate race winners in this field. Briley Wright, Tom Sears, Jack Mulkey. You look at Matt Leiter's another one who's won on a plate race before. Toby Estes. It's a pretty decent field for this first heat. A lot of experience in this first heat, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does go all the way to the checkered flag for heat 1. Very clean so far.
Yeah, I expect to be clean, but you can see like Feemster try to go for that block on Sears, couldn't pull it out. You can see a little bit of squirreliness on the inside lines. That's my only real threat, and it's kind of bringing that old ex-driver in me, that little itchiness of being in the middle of that and just being in no man's land, just wondering what's going to happen here. With 2 to go, though, Feemster got the push ahead here. Tried to go for the block last time on Sears. This time not going to have any chance to do it. Sears going to get a bump here. Alfred George going to push hard there, too, as we're coming to the white flag. Sears, Feemster in the front row here. Feemster going to get the drag and probably going to lead lap, coming to the last lap.
1 lap to go in heat 1. It's Feemster and Sears out in front. Feemster on the inside. Sears on the outside.
Oh,
that's a car low.
I think it was
Toby Estes.
Toby Estes, new paint scheme. Threw me off for a second.
As they come out of turn 4 for the last time in heat 1. Gonna be a photo finish for the first heat. It's gonna be Sears.
Sears, Feemster, Pinnell. That's your top 3. And they keep it clean across the line, too. Mulkey, LaJoy, Leiter, Wright, Kruger. And then Estes and Tommy Withers is how they finish up heat number 1. And that's going to slot us right nicely into heat number 2 here. So we'll take a quick look at how they line up with Brian Roberts and Brandon Featherplace in the front row. Edward Marshall and Dustin Painter in row number 2. Matthew Kent and Richie Catania in row number 3. Cody Riggs and David Wright in row 4. And Austin Pinnell and James Kerr rounding out in row number 5. Now, I'm hopeful we have the same thing in the first heat, but the law of averages and what we've seen in these heat races, when one heat goes good, the other heat goes bad. So, but let's hope we buck a trend here and we see some good, clean racing.
That's obviously the hope. This, I think, has the potential to be the more wild race. You have some more wild card drivers here. Obviously, Dustin Painter, very experienced, won this race back in the spring. Edward Marshall looking for his first win in the series. We saw him win in the OAP Supersports Series at Daytona, so we know he can do it on plate tracks, but can he do it here? Matthew Kent has not won in A Squared yet. Cody Riggs has not won in A Squared yet. James Kerr hasn't won since Fontana almost 18 months ago. This has the chance to be the more wild card of a heat here, so we're gonna find out. But Bryn Roberts, not a stranger to victory lane. Neither is Brandon Fetterplace. Both of them have 2 wins in this series. Looking at outside lane. One would have to assume, statistically speaking, the outside lane looks a little bit more friendly. If you wanted to move to the front early. Between Fetterplace and Painter. 2 wins this season among those 2 drivers. We're going to find out. Pace car is in pit lane. And Heat 2 is underway. And Fetterplace got the launch.
You can see right there, Fetterplace with that 1 week off, trying to get back in the winning ways. Gonna get a good charge on that high line. But inside line gonna charge out here, and Roberts has the choice what line he wants to choose, but Marshall's gonna line up with a teammate and gonna choose the door. So line power gonna be on that high groove. Brent Roberts gonna be alone on that low side for the moment, but still has enough clearance. If he wants to go up, he can.
Teammates have got together really quickly there with Marshall and Fetterplace working together.
By the way, I want to point it out before it gets kind of ruined up here. Right now on the inside line, the cut 1, 2, 3 is the 1, 2, and 3. So inside line in numerical order right now. Before that ends up getting shuffled up here when cars making moves.
Staying side by side here. After 2 laps, only it's Marshall now on the outside lane. Got himself out of Fetterplace. Out of turn 2. Outside lane was very much the preferred lane in Heat 1. Heat 2, not so much. A little bit of a bobble there by teammates!
Matthew Kent gets sent to the grass there. He'll keep it straight. He did not end up losing too much time here. He'll get it back on the track, but I think he has a chance to lose the draft. But at the very least, that is the worst of his wear.
Because Brent Roberts fell backwards here. Half a second between Roberts and Kent as they both fall backwards. Kent still have a tail of it, but with only coming to 4 laps to go.
He's hoping for chaos. I'm looking at that right band. It looks like it's got a front quarter panel. Looks like it's got a little crack in it, so looks like he's okay for the most part, though.
Yeah,
but
Brent Roberts came off the inside lane, and Kent tried to fill that gap, as you would imagine, and it didn't go well. And it gave Fetterplace and Marshall the advantage, and now they've split the lanes.
Yep.
Trying to ensure that line power gets one.
Yep. Doing the ecologic strategy, just block the lanes and help your team out get to the finish here.
Fetterplace got clear.
Yeah, going to want to work with a teammate here. So he's got a choice to choose the lanes. He's got Painter on the high side. Remember, Painter won Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, won this race in the spring.
Yep. Want to make sure he's a little bump there for his troubles from the 16. To keep it straight, 3 to go. Kent has officially lost the draft here. He's hoping for chaos to have to get some positions here. And you can see with how squirrely they're getting, they're fighting for everything they can get.
This had the chance to be the more chaotic heat. Coming to 2 laps to go. Fetterplace has a full car length advantage over Painter, but that gap is shrinking. Can Richie Catania help Painter?
Oh, Riggs just kind of blocked aggressively Painter, and that's going to cause that problem. Saw it happening when you see that shunt. Big walk into the wall there by Cody Riggs. We keep it clean, well, we keep it green, I should say, because there's no caution for the stage, but Cody Riggs not making any friends here early as we're coming to the white flag lap. Fetterplace Marshall leading the way for line power. Painter's going to have a run here and some help from Brent Roberts. Going to go to the high side. Roberts going to stay low with the Fords.
1 lap to go. In heat number 2. Line power sitting 1-2 with Fetterplace and Marshall.
Problem right now is Painter had no help because he's got no teammates up there. He's got no assistance, so they kind of just shoved him out to the wolves. Now it's up to Roberts and the right. Can they find a way around Fetterplace here? Marshall going to play loyal foot soldier, good rear gunner, and block the 1. And they come off the last corner here. It's going to be Feather Place and Marshall 1-2 for line power. Bren Roberts 3rd, David Wright 4th, Dustin Painter 5th, James Kerr 6th, Austin Purnell 7th, Richie Catania 8th, Matthew Kent 9th, and Cody Riggs did not finish, but he will get 10th position and 10th place billings in that heat and will line up 20th for the race.
Now everyone's going to get a little over 4 minutes and change to dial things in one last time. And everyone's going to use that time to try to practice some things, practice pit lane entry.
Yep. I know in real life they changed the rule, but I don't know if in iRacing it was changed.
It's not been changed in iRacing, but ARCS is following it.
Okay. So it's 90 off the corner and then 45 when you hit the pit lane. So unlike when we were here in the spring where you had to get it slowed down to 45 when you got out of 3 and 4, now you can keep a faster pace and then brake. So at the very least, if you get caught in a bad cycle of green flag pit stops, it's not as detrimental as it was in the spring race. Such a short warm clock. There's not much really a lot of drivers are going to do. Most are taking this opportunity to kind of use the bathroom, getting drink, whatnot, because unlike in other tracks where you can really make last adjustments, there's not much you can really do in 5 minutes at a plate race other than really practice your pit road entries and exits and that on that ground. So that's what a few drivers doing, as we see Edward Marshall doing successfully. So yeah, last minute practice, and we'll see what everyone does.
That's really the biggest thing when it comes to these warm-ups, is to just practice something you weren't sure about before. Change your steering rate. The steering ratio is the big thing. Your brake bias, because it is important for those pit entries. Like, figure out what you need to finalize, to get yourself from 90% to 100% ready for this race. You've gotten yourself used to how the car's going to feel in the draft. You've gotten yourself used to how the pack dynamic is going to be. You've largely been able to scout who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. So it's all about the finishing touches in these final 5 minutes of practice. Right now you're seeing Leiter and Smeal working together at the moment as they currently sit. But, again, it's all about, just finishing touches, a little bit of polish before we get ready to head race side, because it will be chaotic once we get underway. As we were coming to the end of warm-up here, John Smeal runs the table with so few cars going out doing laps. It's impressive, but not really impressive, as they should say, but it's still a good achievement to have. With 40 seconds left, some drivers doing ins and outs. Really just getting, again, last-minute prep, last-minute adjustments. Even us in the commentary booth, we're doing our last-minute things. And we'll be ready for 130 laps at Atlanta. John Smeal starting this race on the outside front row. It's him and Steven Oberstadt leading the field to green here as we get ready to go. But yeah, very much just final adjustments here. Not many cars taking to the track. Everyone just taking the chance to collect themselves and ready to go. Try to figure out some coordination with their teammates as they need to. As the checkered flag flies on warm-up session, there's only one thing left to do, and that is go racing for the main event.
Yep.
So here we go. Welcome to Hampton, Georgia. Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway for the ARCS Hampton 250. I'm Carmen Sienna, alongside me Kevin Young, as we bring you racing at the 1.54 mile high-banked intermediate oval. Track temp 101 degrees. It's come down since the start of the session. For qualifying and for the heats, it was above 112 degrees. So temperatures have dropped significantly, and the drivers will be rejoicing about that. These cars, as the tire wear goes on, will begin to get loose as this car unloads. Not a lot of wind, 3-mile-an-hour winds, partly cloudy skies, so it's going to be pure sun beating down on these cars tonight. 45% humidity, going to be sticky. Drivers have to keep an eye on that as they work on keeping their cars cool. You don't want to overheat those engines while you're trying to draft. Working through the starting grid, Steven Oberstadt, pole position, his first pole in the A Square Cup Series. Alongside him, John Smeal. Tom Sears and Brandon Fetterplace make it a line power row 2. Kevin Feemster and Edward Marshall in row 3. Ryan Pinnell, hometown driver, sits in row 4 alongside Bryn Roberts. Jack Mulkey and David Wright sit in row 5. Mike LaJoy and Dustin Painter, last year's really spring's winner at this track, in row 6. And as we go further on down the order, 23 cars in tonight's race. Matt Leiter and James Kerr, row 7. Row 8, Bradley Wright and Austin Purnell. Emma Kruger, Richie Catania, row number 9. Row 10, Elvis George and Matthew Kent. Row 11, Toby S., Cody Riggs, with Tommy Withers rounding out this field of 23.
Should be worth noting, Edward Marshall, only driver electing to start in the pit lane here. Every other driver going to test their luck and feel like they can keep it clean for a while. Edward Marshall is betting on the opposite, thinks there'll be a wreck early, and doesn't want to be a part of it.
We're going to find that out. 22 cars will take the green flag together. Edward Marshall in pit lane will be the 23rd car. You see that marked out in our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. But it's showtime here at Atlanta. Oberstadt, Smeal, Sears, Fetterplace, top 4 as the pace car pulls into pit lane. Green flag is in the air. And we're racing in Georgia.
So as lap 1 is in the books here, Oberstadt going to hold on to the lead. Smeal going to fall a little bit on that outside line. No real assistance. Question is, will he stay high or will he try to jump low? He will jump low. So doesn't want to stop the bleeding. Right now, it looks like Line Power going to try to make that high line theirs. You can see Sears going to jump high. You can see Featherplace coming up as well. Will Feemster jump out? But honestly, I don't think he will, because he'll stay with Oberstadt here. And it's going to be Line Power on that high groove right now, trying to recreate what both drivers led them to success in their respective heats.
Everyone trying to find their place in line here. These first 35 laps will be interesting, to say the least. That's when stage 1 ends into lap 35. Sears takes the lead away from Oberstadt. to lead lap 3.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, no rush to get down here. He wants to make sure if he gets clear, he wants Feather Place with him, or at least Feather Place leading the line. Obviously, most of these teams aren't in communications in their group chat, so they're working out strategies, working out elements, trying to figure out what will bring the best team success and driver success for everyone necessary. Ooh, a little bit loose there. Sears going up the road just a tear. That's going to cause the outside to get a bit of a checkup. And Oberstadt going to lead the next lap there.
Pretty resoundingly so. Outside lane, it's great if you're wanting to move forward because you can grab the momentum and sort of just capture it in a bottle. But the inside lane's where the stability is. Very much like what it is at Daytona.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like the same thing in a real life road. The inside line is usually the passing lane, or the left-hand lane's the passing lane, the right-hand lane. Actually, double way around, my mistake. But well, with the opposite track. But left lane, instead of being the pass lane, is a more stability lane, and the right lane is more to that. Well, Sears,
teammates got turned.
Yep, and that's going to cause a checkup there. Brent Roberts involved. I think David Wright as well. Obviously, Feather Place gets away moving. Looks like Roberts, looks like he may have got the worst of it, as he is still stationary at the moment.
Beginning the move now, Dustin Painter, the spring race winner, a part of it. And Edward Marshall got a piece of it as well. So three of the line power cars all involved in that.
Basically, 3 out of the 4 line power cars here tonight were involved in that opening incident. The only one that avoided it was Emma Kruger.
We're going to take a look at this while we're here in slow motion. And we're going to ride on board with Fetter Place because I think this is just a bad bump that gets this stuff kick-started here. Fetter Place riding on board with him, the number 34 machine. He is right on the bumper of Sears. And just, does he tag that left side? Yeah, he does.
Yep. And at that point, it's just a check up with the track being so narrow. Nowhere to really go. And by that point, Feather Place was able to get around, but he sent that problem back to the next car line, and it just kind of caused that whole checkup situation.
This is Brent Roberts, who's immediately behind it.
Oh, gets hooked, and he has nowhere to go. He can't go low. He's just got to hope he gets on the brakes and doesn't get ran over. And he couldn't slow it down in time, and plus he did get hit from the rear, so really nothing he could have done. And we'll take a look at Dustin Painter's on board as well. A little bit farther back here, along with David Wright. And you can see the cloud of smoke and the puff of smoke, and he's just trying to hold down the brakes, and right there, that big checkup caused him to basically insert himself into David Wright there. But luckily, I don't think he's going to get as much damage with that, at the very least, with the game kind of giving him a break. Then almost runs into Brent Roberts. Just to add insult to injury for the Line Power Motorsports, looks like Emma Kruger had a bit of a connection issue. And right now, she says she's back in the race at the moment, but currently 5 down to the leader, even if she does get out. So it's going to be a long road for that 70 if she does come back to get upwards to the front. But, so it's been a bad day after this first caution for a lot of Line Power, but at least positive for the other 3 Line Power Motorsports machines is that they do have fast repairs if they needed them, and I don't know if any really did take. But at the very least, they do have them if necessary. David Wright is going to lead the pit lane there and repair his car on his own. As you see the shoes effect in position, and it's going to be Oberstadt and Feemster in row number 1, Smeal and Ryan Pinnell in row number 2, Jack Mulkey and Feather Place in row number 3, James Kerr and Matthew Leiter in row 4, and Mike LaJoy and Toby Estes rounding out your 5 rows here as we come for the first restart of the night.
First caution of the night, involving multiple cars. We're getting ready to go back green. Steven Overstat, Kevin Feemster will lead us that way, with Smeal and Ryan Pinnell sitting in row 2. Green flag in the air, and away we go, and a really good launch by Overstat to get us back started here in stage 1.
Yeah, Feemster got a little bogged down there. Presidential Racing Machine couldn't really get going, but with Ryan Pinnell's help, and it looks like teammates are actually going to end up splitting up here. Pinnell going to take the opportunity to go low, and Feemster are going to have to stay high here. It's a 1-2-3 for B-Tron, with Oberstadt, Smeal, and Mulkey riding the waves.
But on that 75, that white machine of James Kerr trying to make his way forward. Didn't like how he flipped that white line and almost shot it completely off the racetrack. Right into the door of Feemster. Pinnell gets in front of Feemster, and now they're going to try to make their way forward. As the trio becomes a duo out front, a little bit of a tandem, trying to pull away.
And right now, as you kind of look at the long shot here, you can kind of see a duality of man here. You can see that middle pack, and you can see that situation where those cars are all 2-2-2-2. And then you can see about Briley Wright on back, Bren Roberts leading that train, 18th on back. They're all single file with some of those cars being in that opening rack. They're running single file and just saying, we don't need the stage points. We're not risking it. We want to get to the end where we can actually compete for actual billings at the end. But for some, we're a little bit away from the stage. Still a ways to go, but stage points could come crucial, especially with final rounds, where if enough drivers do not have wins, which it looks like we'll have that situation, you never know when a couple stage points, especially at a place like this, could end up being a deciding factor whether you make the playoffs or you don't.
The cutoff for the championship 16, the first round of the playoffs, was 8 points last season. So that is the ultimate challenge right now.
And 8 points is the gap from Overstat right now. The timing and scoring is Overstat to Toby Estes. Just shows you again how crucial it may be. Little blink there from Mulkey. Hopefully he re-blinks in, because that's not good from James Kerr, not knowing where the car third in line is.
Result right now enjoying the comfort of the lead with with John Smeal in second, Jack Mulkey in third, James Kerr fourth. Then it's side by side, kind of pick your favorite driver throughout the rest of the field.
Got some black acid racing. Got some black acid racing, presidential racing, some line power a little bit further back. Got a lot of different teams you can pick. Kind of support your flag for. You can see that outside line. Not as many cars deep. Only 5 cars in the outside line. And 3 of them are Presidential Racing powered and 2 line power. So 3 Fords and Toyota on that high line, and the rest are on that inside groove.
B-Tron trying to show the dominance that they had at Daytona earlier this season.
Daytona, Talladega.
Yeah.
Even they were a threat at Atlanta. So they're the aces of the super speedways, winning 2 out of 3 this season. And as the laps tick by, it's going to be another thing kind of worth noting is that as we're still a little bit away from the stage end, only a handful of cars elected to pit under that first caution. Obviously some for damage, others to kind of get some fresh tires and some fresh rubber for their causes. Tom Sears being one, Dustin Painter in this current top pack. So they're going to have a little bit better grip over the long of this run here, while the other drivers are going to start feeling the ill effects of the tire wear as we get closer and closer to the end of the stage.
And stage 1 ends at the end of lap 35. Still some laps to go.
I'd guess 35.70 and finish. Feels correct. Yeah, obviously, again, no reason to break up the front three here. No moves coming back, no reason to shuffle it. The only way to see that top three even try to elect to move is if that outside line takes a run, and even James Kerr will probably be the first one to jump if it opens up, but Kerr would have to feel confident that he can get to the front if he was to do that.
Pretty much lockstep the further back you go. Everyone trying to see what lane's going to move. Those three cars up front have remained out front since that restart. Enjoying their success right now. Ryan Pennell and James Kerr still sitting side by side. Feemster and LaJoy in support of both of them respectively. It gets so spooky when you look at where Feemster's at right now. He's trying to push so hard on Ryan Pennell's car.
And that's what caused the first caution.
It's not so. Obviously, that's kind of what happened with the first caution, but that was through the corner. It's how Feemster's getting to Pennell out of the corner on the front straightaway that's bothering me. Because he's giving Pennell a giant shot, but it's not flush.
No.
Whereas Federer Place was just constantly, like, he was just on Sears' bumper from the start and just didn't move forward. Mike LaJoy got in front of Ryan Pennell there, moved to the top lane.
Try to see if that was actually a dictated move, or maybe he got a slight checkup or a little loose and just had to bail to the top side. Regardless, that's going to give a bit of separation for the top four. But now James Kerr going to kind of fall back here to maybe get a run to the top three. That's going to open the door for Toby Estes, and they haven't said much of in that Busch machine. He's not going to be leading that inside line in pack number 2, as obviously pack number 1 is these leaders. They kind of have a little bit of a cushion ahead of Estes and Kerr.
Estes up 17 spots when we started this race. Started outside of the top 20. Right now sitting down in 4th place as that outside line has just completely just stopped working.
Nope, yep. And look what happened to James Kerr. He bet his horse and latched his horse onto that, and he's fallen way back.
That outside lane, for whatever reason, the outside lane just completely stopped working. I don't know what happened to that outside lane, but it is broken apart big time.
I think that checkup from LaJoy really affected that momentum, and then the inside line...
They weren't making anything before that point.
True, but that really put a monkey wrench in them, and then enough drivers bailed low because of that checkup, and it just... That was the detriment. As almost everyone has now jumped low, and you can see the guys that were running up to the front there, Feather Place, Ryan Pennell, Kevin Feemster, they are now respectively 12th, 13th, and 14th respectively. Michael Joy is also now 14th, battling with Ryan Pennell. So they ended up maybe, obviously the stage is coming closer to an end. They may have threw away some stage points here with that mistake of that high line kind of staying there.
Yeah, that outside lane, it wasn't like the entire restart, they weren't making ground.
Nope.
Yeah, so I don't think Mike LaJoy had made much to do with that.
I think that was the nail in the coffin, though, is what my kind of ideology is. It's the last thing that caused the problem. Like, they weren't making forward progress, but they also weren't losing much. And then that little stack-up caused the problem. Maybe it was just the leader. Maybe they had to have a different change at the front. So we'll see what Estes can do now as that outside line has finally got reorganized. And now Toby Estes is going to be the point leader instead of Ryan Pennell. And we'll see what he can do in that long train. And we'll get some assistance. You kind of can see Alfred George, Mulkey thinking about Mulkey blocking Alfred George actually thinking about it a little bit. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're losing so much time right now. Toby Estes was level with Alfred George there, and he's level with Marshall. He's lost a full car length.
And you can just see the car count on the high and low side. Right now, that's 3, 5, 6 for Kent if he elects to go high, and they'll have 7 for LaJoy. They get a few more soldiers in there, they could push frontward. Right now,
but that is very sketchy. Marshall on the back end of ours, George had nowhere to go, had to check up a little bit.
And now it's the first challenge B-Tron's had in over 20 laps. At least one of the cars anyway, with Toby Estes running that high line.
Coming in 6 laps to go in the stage.
Should be worth noting, they are going to catch a lap down car here. Well, the car they're going to put a lap down, number 42, David Wright. He just crossed start finish line now, so they are going to catch him. Question is, how will he pull off to the apron? Will he elect to go high, as he's the only car that would be one down? Have no real risk of, if he does get put a lap down, he getting the lucky dog. However, if he can keep his lap at the same point, he doesn't have to line up the tail end of the field, but the pack is going to swallow him here. And the question is, where will he go?
Estes challenging for the race lead. It's Estes and Leiter on the outside lane. Estes gets
David
to the
Wright.
point.
Ooh.
And he stays the outside lane.
I know, but it looked like James Kerr was going to follow, and then David Wright appeared in his front of his bonnet. They'll all get around a little bit squirrely with Matthew Kent, but they'll all clear.
Oh, there's trouble.
Wall with Feemster. Never mind.
Teammates.
That accordion with... No, I don't want to blame David Wright for that, as obviously he had a right to be there. But with him there, it kind of caused a little bit of that effect there. And we'll see. This should end the stage, if I'm not mistaken. Never mind.
Yeah, it's going to be close.
Race Control just confirmed this is not the end of the stage. They're saying it will be a green-white checkered. So we're going to see pits quickly here and try to get it going. The thing that stinks is David Wright was going to get the lucky dog, and with being involved in that crash, I don't think he'll get said lucky dog, but we'll see if the game registers or not. But here's a look at the replay here.
He was not involved in that.
He wasn't? Okay.
Yeah, it was behind him because he was in the outside lane, but that was a lane that he had picked before.
Got it.
Like everyone knew he was up there.
Fair enough. My apologies, David Wright, on that. Blame me for an incident you had nothing to do with.
Yeah, the issue is that, so he was in the outside lane, and when everyone unloaded out of turn 2, they kind of unloaded into his lane. They all move up into his lane, and then left Matthew Kent hanging out to dry, and Kent tried to close back in front of Feemster, but Feemster closed the hole.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Cody Riggs. Big lick.
There's not really an excuse for that. Caution was out at that point.
Yeah. Matthew Kent was going to go with light damage, and that big smack by Cody Riggs ends up giving him even worse damage.
And it caved in both those driver's side tires. You can see just how much it's all bowed in.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an excuse for that level of ARCS braking. There's not.
Nope. Regardless, that will be a fast track burden for the number 2 machine. Assuming also Cody Riggs is that big of a lick, you're going to have to fix something. But we're going to have choose this time by, and it looks like it's going to be a one-lap shootout for the stage. Handful of drivers elected to pit under that last caution, including Mulkey, Marshall, Feemster, Withers, Austin Pinnell, Michael Joy, Cody Riggs, obviously involved in the crash, Bren Roberts, all electing the pit. So some staying out for trying to get stage points, others playing the long game here and want track position for stage 2.
Everyone knows now that you're going to have... This is going to be a one-lap shootout for stage 1.
Correct.
We're on lap 34.
And you rarely see one-lap shootouts, definitely for finishes because of the green-white checkered system.
This is not going to end well.
Nope. Hopefully they bring it clean, but knowing
we've had 4 one-lap shootouts for stages this season. All of them have had crashes.
Well. Yeah. Considering also the tire advantage and tire disadvantage for some and tire advantage for others, it is going to be a shaken up cube here.
The tire advantage isn't going to mean much with how short this lap's going to be.
True.
It's just going to be no one's going to lift. That's what it's going to mean. So it's Estes Leiter at the front of the field for this one-lap shootout. Kerr and Oberstadt in row 2. Smeal and Pinnell, row 3. Looking for those that have pit. They're outside the top 10 at the moment. We'll see if they get in. Stage 1. This one's for all the marbles in stage 1. Pace car. In pit lane, green flag back in the air, and away we go.
Good launch for everyone. John Smeal did not get going in that high groove, though. That's going to give no assistance for Oberstadt. He's going to try to have to find a way in or down quickly, or hope Smeal kind of gets up there and gives him a push. They're all kind of fanning out here, getting single file, which we need to see. It was coming off 3 and 4 to end the stage here. Looks like not much of a challenge. Can Leiter and Kerr do something here? Estes going to throw the block. And there's a come off 4 here for the end of the stage. Looks like we'll keep it clean as they'll come across. It is going to be Estes, Leiter, Kerr, Pinnell, Oberstadt, George, Smeal, Catania, Sears, and Feather Place. Your top 10 for the stage. So we ended up bucking the trend there. For the one-lap shootouts, it actually ends up being clean. You'll love to see it. So now, we know for a fact the drivers that did not pit on that stage, including Leiter, Estes, Kerr, Oberstadt, basically that top 10 are all going to have to pit, top 11 I should say, well, top 10, well, right, switching with Mulkey. They'll all have to pit. Jack Mulkey will inherently, unless he comes down here and stays on sequence, he will inherit the lead with him, Marshall, Riggs, your top 3, if they don't like the pit. So, high driver's going to pull off here. And Mulkey will stay out, so he will take the lead. Marshall, though, going to come on down. So, a mixed bag of strategies, but we know for a fact Mulkey will take the lead.
Those that pit on 32 and pitting again, they're topping up with fuel because they know they'll have a short pit stop.
Correct. So, they'll actually inherit higher positions, but they won't be net positive because Riggs and Pinnell and LaJoy all stay out. Next car probably on will be Marshall. Ooh, interesting.
Leiter, Feimster, then Marshall, because Feimster and Marshall took fuel only.
Correct.
Leiter took 2 tires.
Mm-hmm. Beat me to the punch on that one. So, interesting call there by Marshall, even though he did come in. He actually ends up, even though topping off, being on a slightly different strategy, loses a few extra spots he would have gained if he stayed out. So, but feels more comfortable topping off and wanting to be comfortably going into stage 2, even though probably would be fine if he obviously didn't. But the point still stands, is just wants to be more comfortable just in case. We're getting an extension here of the caution. No choose this time by because a little bit of procedure mix up with the short stage and the short caution. So as we're coming up to the choose, we'll take a quick little second here to kind of recycle through the field. We got 21 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Only 2 cars right now. Well, with David Wright currently on pit lane trying to fix damage with a long pit clock. We'll see if he can get on out. And Emma Kruger, only car behind the wall at the moment. with the connection issues plaguing her race. So coming up to the choose here. Where will Mulkey feel comfortable here? He's got no real teammates around him, so have his choice here. He will go low. Cody Riggs will go high. Ospinel low. Mike LaJoy get a foul suit low. I believe he went low. Yeah, he did go low. And that will allow Matthew Leiter to go high. So as we see how this all cycles out, it's going to be Mulkey Riggs first row, Ospinel, Matthew Leiter row 2, Mike LaJoy, and Edward Marshall row 3, Beamster and Estes 4, Kerr and Oberstadt row number, Oberstadt row number 5. Here we go. Pansker going to take the off here. We're going to get ready to start stage number 2. Green flag is out, and away we go. Good launch for the 27. Good launch for Ospinel, but no good launch for Mike LaJoy. It's going to give a little bit of breathing around the inside line, allow the 83 a Leiter to jump low. Big space out there. Kerr kind of top 10, and after that top 10 is a little bit of a break. As Alpha George leads pack number 2. They should get caught up here to see Alpha George get up, and the rest will follow suit here. But up front, Mulkey leads the train. And I guess the next question will be is who on that inside line will elect to kind of be the driver that jumps high and try to make the high line work. And it looks like Toby Estes is going to be the first one to take the plunge, and he will take that high groove. Now, the question is, will anyone else support him on that high side? So he'll jump back in line, not getting any real vibes of help. Will Avant just jump back low and not lose really any spots?
Jack Mulkey enjoying leading this race so far.
Mm-hmm.
Handily now in second.
Mm-hmm. We saw it. Stage 1 was mostly dominated by B-Tron Racing, and even though there's only one B-Tron Racing car in that top 5, still leading the point is one of those B-Tron cars. See, as we follow through the field here, you can see the outside line gains momentum. Mike LaJoy going to jump to that outside line, cover off Toby Estes. They've hitched their wagon to get that high line to work. And if that pack gets some momentum, it's then going to be up to the question mark of, do you play nice or do you jump out of line and try to make something work? It looks like at the very least you can see Leiter thinking about it, and the both Black Ass racing cars, I believe, are going to jump out here. Try to make that high line theirs. And that's going to push Ospinel to the point, to the lead. And he will lead that lap. And look at that high line there. It's 3 out of 4 Black Acid Racing machines. With Leiter, LaJoy, Kerr, and obviously leading the race currently on the inside line, Ospinel. So looking good right now for them, at least early on in this stage. A lot of Fords and Chevys in the top 10 at the moment. And the closest Toyota currently in 11th with Tom Sears. As you can see that little white and green machine in that back line, in that inside line. Top getting 3. Still no challenge for the top 3 at the moment. You can see again some cars, as you go further back, you can see some cars electing to play it safe here. Ooh, big squiggle there in the back. Just saw it. That was the 24 Catania. Almost got turned by the 34 Feather Place, but luckily they both keep clean. But you can see Feather Place checking up big on that backstretch. Almost ended in tears for one of them, but we keep it clean. We keep it clean and we keep it green.
Now leads over Mulkey, Riggs, and Marshall. Riggs recovering nicely from his caution in stage 2, where he got into Matthew Kent. Matt Kent sitting in. Find real quick. He is sitting 15th. He's still in this group.
Yep.
So both drivers end up well out of that. Everyone's still running at the moment, minus 2 cars. Well, minus 1 car. Emma Kruger out of this race after 2 laps due to connection issues. David Wright 1 lap down still. It's Purnell, Mulkey, Riggs, Marshall, Feemster, single file top 5. Just in time for Ryan Purnell to try to ruin that and try to get into the top 5 at his home race. I think something has to be said. The outside lane has not worked well with Fords leading it. Feemster getting tossed around like a rag doll with Mike LaJoy behind, just not finding any chemistry, and they're going to lose spots.
After spots after spots.
Only time that outside lane worked in stage 1 when it was led by a Chevrolet and a Toyota. The typical rule of thumb is that the Fords leading, because they're flat nose, they have the advantage at tracks like Atlanta. Because they can hit more square, they can hit more flush. And so far, that's not been the case. Feemster recovering nicely. They're finally finding their mojo. But it was sketchy there, with Mike LaJoy hounding the back end of Feemster's Ford. Purnell's moving back up to the front to help his teammate out here. Got a good run on Edward Marshall, but Feemster too high. You can see when Purnell goes to the middle lane, Feemster goes too high up. He swings too wide.
Yes.
And right now it's working out because Cody Riggs has left a gap between himself and Jack Mulkey.
Yeah, especially at plate racing, it's about being steady and being kind of keeping the car planted and keeping the car straight to try to get to the front. And if you can't do that, you're not going to win many favor from the cars behind. And it's going to allow the drivers to kind of say, all right, don't work with you because you can't be trusted if you go too wide. Kind of choose your own fortune here, and the best cars and the people that want to work with the most are the ones that can plant it and be good pushers or receivers when necessary. As you look at that high groove, the problems that plagued it last time were the 2 cars leading it were Ryan Purnell and Kevin Feemster. Right now they're leading it again, Looks like they're kind of doing what they did at the middle stage one, where they're kind of just holding station.
The issue is that Feemster's applying his Daytona strategy to this track, and that's not going to work. You have to stay in the bumper of that 12 no matter what. And what he's doing is he's swinging out, trying to grab air, because he doesn't want to lose his run, but he also doesn't want to hammer Pinnell out of the corner. He's running wider than he needs to. So he's wasting that momentum. Every time he gets it, he's wasting it. And you're going to see it here. He's going to step out wide.
Yep, right there.
And Ryan's trying to cover it off so he can capture it. He's trying to capture that momentum in a bottle and take it to the front. And that worked a little bit that time because Cody Riggs and Everett Marshall had a bobble. But when Marshall and Riggs are put together and they're lined up with Mulkey, you see right there, the Feemster just, he's not able to, for some reason, he's just not modulating it. He's not modulating the throttle. He's not modulating the speed he's got right now. I don't know if he's not trail braking. I don't know if he's not modulating the throttle. But there's something wrong there between Feemster and Pinnell. They are not in sync at all. And Pinnell's having to mirror drive more than he would normally have to. Because typically for Feemster, just follow the leader in this situation. Follow the car in front. But that's not happening. So Pinnell's having to chase Feemster and trying to chase Feemster's line of sight. And you see right now, people are getting more impatient. Toby Estes, who's moved to the front, moved to the lead on that outside lane, knows what's wrong, but now stuck in the middle 3 wide because he can't go anywhere.
And the thing is considering the fact that these teams are in communication, we know Presidential Racing, they're all in the chat right now, including Feemster and Pinnell. You think you would try, if you knew the problem, maybe again, Pinnell maybe doesn't know the issue, maybe Feemster, they're not thinking about it. But in that regard, I feel like you'd be trying to relay the information right now or trying to rectify the problem if you deem it a problem. Because if you get more impatient drivers behind, you're going to end up either causing more of a logjam that's going to cause an effect that may bring your world crashing down. So, it's right now a weird strat to be in, and it makes you wonder if either Feemster's doing it possibly on purpose, or if he just doesn't know better in that regard. Regardless, they're going to catch David right here. Slow car on the high side here. They're not going to be able to get checked up and cleared here, so it's going to cause a mad scramble on the backstretch. Everyone should successfully, safely get around, as there'll be a hole for David Wright to jump back in here if he needs it, right between Estes and Feather Place. Everyone will successfully work around him. But right now, if you look up back to the front here,
I don't necessarily like how they went around him, because they went around him and they did what they did the last time, and they closed his lane off and tried causing something to happen. I don't know why, but that wasn't necessary.
No, that wasn't. Especially when there was a hole there, he could have jumped in and they could have held for a second, but weird strategies, I guess you can say. Regardless, now we do have new leaders on that outside line. If you were watching that car get kind of passed through, Marshall and Sears, both Line Power Motorsports machines, jumped from the low side to go to the high side, and they think they can jump to the front. But the problem is, look at that gap from the 21 to the next car in that inside line. It's closing quickly with Estes closing it, but they don't have as much momentum at the moment to kind of charge to the front.
Thing is, they don't need to, but you see with Brian Pinnell now, the third car in line and not leading, he's immediately opened a gap to Feemster. Not having to rely on that 21 car for that momentum, a lot better for him here. All he has to do is sit stationary. Make sure you don't push the push or whatever you do.
Yeah.
Got a little bit close there out of turn 2. 3, 3, and 4 here. 7 laps to go in stage 2. Cody Riggs still sitting nice in 3rd place. He could be a big spoiler if he managed to get a win here. And anything's possible. Sitting in 3rd place right now is a really good spot to be in.
Right now, if you're that right now driver that needs a win, looking at this field, obviously we'll probably update as we go down the line.
There's John
right
Smeal.
Now, yeah, you're looking for a driver, John Smeal. You're hoping he wins because he's a part-time driver. If he wins, he doesn't take a win away from the drivers that do need it. But if you look at this top 10, Pinnell needs a win, Mulkey needs a win, Riggs needs a win, Marshall needs a win, LaJoy needs a win, Sears needs a win, even though he's going to
watch out, Mulkey and
Big
Pinnell.
Smoke. They're going to get sucker hold here. Sears may get left out to dry. They're going to have to try to find a way through this quick.
Well, Mulkey tried going around, and Pinnell blocked the absolute life out of Mulkey, and Mulkey's going to try sending Pinnell around. Mulkey did not appreciate that at all.
Nope.
He immediately got right back to the bumper. He is pushing the life out of Purnell. Keep an eye on that 32 and the 27.
Yep.
There's a little bit of animosity now. And with stage points on the line here in 5 laps, someone may not be making it back.
Nope. Should we without looking at the top 10 of the stage right now, just finish my point. Not one driver in that top 10 right now has a win.
Brent Roberts does. He won Nashville.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't here for Nashville, so that's why I didn't remember that one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did. Monaco. All right. My point falls flat, but 8 out of 10 is still not bad. But regardless, Austin Purnell pushing front here, trying to get some stage points, bring it home. Mulkey getting second here. Looks like the animosity's kind of clearing up at the moment, but you know for a fact, if there's an opportunity to jump, he may take it.
And there it is. And Purnell going to try to play both lanes here. Marsh to the outside. Did not leave that lap. It still belonged to Purnell. But Marshall trying to take to the point. Ford's all in the top 5. Cody Riggs, the only Chevrolet in the top 6. And it's going to get a little bit more intense. Out of 4. 2 laps to go. Marshall cleared himself over Purnell. Holy cow, that's close. And Purnell sends Marshall around.
Oh, Cody Riggs in it.
That's a huge crash.
Yep. Looks like Catania also involved. I think Matthew Kent got involved as well in the second piece, and that's going to be end of stage.
Definitively into stage. John Smeal takes stage 2. Ryan Purnell second. Tom Sears third. Austin Purnell will end up 4th in the stage.
Beamster 5th. Mulkey 6th. Estes 7th. LaJoy. Oh, Cody Riggs works his way up. We'll see where Cody Riggs does cycle. Looks like he'll be 9th. James Kerr will be 10th. I do wonder, because a few cars were involved. We know Cody Riggs probably had to burn a fast car on that last caution. He was involved in that. Did he get some of the speed out of it? A few other cars as well involved that may have burned faster pairs. It's going to be interesting to see if they can fix what they need to fix. But we'll take a look at the replay here, and you're just going to see just bump in the corner, bumped on the corner panel, I believe.
Purnell completely sent 16 around here.
Oh.
Because Marshall cleared himself over the 32. Like, forced himself down. We'll actually see if I can back it up here, because Marshall completely cleared himself. And this was immediate retaliation for it. Because he gets a little bit clear here. But he immediately forces the door shut and almost forces Purnell below the white line. And Purnell just sends him.
And the thing is, even if, send him, and then it kind of affected him a little bit. But you know what's kind of weird in this point is it reminds me of what we saw during heat number 1. Same situation between him and Cody Riggs. Riggs went for a late block and sent Austin Purnell below the double yellow, the white line. That would have really affected him. So in that regard, you don't want to be made a fool of, I guess you can say. But we'll watch as we watch live action here. Pit stop's concluding. Smeal will be first one out of the pit lane. Really right, I think it's behind the pace car, but he is 1 down, so he's taking the wave around here. Or Lucky Dog. Yeah, so Wright's taking the wave around here, so when it all cycles through, it's going to be Smeal, Purnell, Ryan Purnell, Tom Sears, Toby Ested, Kevin Feams for your top 5. We'll have choose code effect. Some cars still on pit lane here. Most notably Catania, Feather Place, Kent, Riggs, Wright. Wright and Catania will get away. But it looks like the other 3, there's still no movement, and they should go 1 down. If Feather Place leaving the box, Kent trying to time it as well. It's going to be a mad scramble for the end of the pit lane, and I think they'll all get through here. Seeing the choose effect in effect, Smeal and Purnell, Ryan going down. Sears and Estes going up. It'll be Kevin Feemster and James Kerr next row, and Mulkey and someone else as
Like
a lot of cars
LaJoy.
were on the inside line. Yeah, a lot of cars were on the inside line there, back to back to back, so it's hard to tell.
Actually, no, it looks like Matt Leiter that ends up in row 4.
Yeah, because I saw
LaJoy.
I saw LaJoy stay behind, Robert stay line. I just kept seeing cars stay low.
Yeah, the inside lane's the place to be. And we saw that's kind of what caused that caution in the stage early. Inside lane definitely the place to be.
So as we wait to see the cycle up here, it should be worth noting we have 19 cars on the lead lap. Kenton Riggs will beat the line, will get it. Only car lap down, 2 cars lap down at the moment. Edward Marshall and David Wright both 1 down respectively for their troubles. Riley Wright gets 1 of his laps back and will also be 1 down at the moment as well. So 19 cars on the lead lap and 3 1 down with still 22 cars running, with Emma Kruger being the only retirement out of this race. This is the money stage. This is where drivers make their wins and make their points. See how it all plays out. Pace car is off. Green flag is out, and away we go as the part-timer gets a lunge. Sears gonna get some help from Estes.
It was a lightning restart there. The issue with Smeals that he wasn't coordinated with Ryan Pinnell, so he's going to be caught up quickly here.
Start 74 there. It should be worth noting is looking to the field here. You can see not different manufacturers, different teammates, with the only 2 teammates kind of linked up is Presidential Racing's the 12 of Ryan Pinnell and 21 of Feemster on the outside line, 75 of James Kerr and the 83 of Matthew Leiter. That's really it. Everyone else kind of spaced out. When you look at the top 5, you got a Line Power, a Bandit, a B-Tron, a Black Acid, and a Presidential Racing in that top 5. James Kirk gonna go low here, gonna dupe the top 2. Estes couldn't follow suit. And looks like he'll be leading to the point here. Sears has a chance to rebuttal if he wants. But Sears feels comfortable on the high side line. Is that inside line not getting the push they need yet? Challenge that outside groove.
Here's Estes lead. Leiter in tow. Kerr leads the inside lane. Highest James Kerr's been in this race.
Expect a good time to try to be the highest he needs to be.
It's just that outside lane has got a lot of cars up in it right now, leading it, that know what they're doing. Sears, Estes, Leiter, Fetterplace. They were all leading the charge on that outside lane at one point or another. Leiter goes to the inside lane. He knows what he's doing here at plate tracks. That is for sure. And that gives life to the inside lane that was being kind of steamrolled there by a very potent outside lane filled with a lot of race winners. A dozen race wins in that outside lane in that top 4.
It's a lot of wins.
It is. 3 for Bryn Roberts in that one car. 2 for Fetterplace. 5 for Estes. 1 for Sears. It's 11 wins.
The inside line doesn't have as many, but some
It
drivers
has 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think 1 was my count I was looking through. Because I know don't want to insult too much on the inside line, but I know they have experience, but
Kerr.
not as many wins. Yeah. I was debating with him and Smeal who got the one, but yeah, it was Kerr.
All 19 cars on the lead lap in this group.
Mm-hmm.
3 cars off the lead lap. David Wright, the first car lap down at the moment.
Yeah,
It's a car that went low. That is James Kerr,
Yep.
who got forced down there. That was not by choice.
No, it wasn't. He's going to fall to the tail end and in turn going to have no help as he's going to be the
And
only car back there.
I think that was Kerr and Smeal, because Smeal lost a lot of time in space as well. Smeal outside the top 10, and Kerr now out of the draft, I should say.
Oh, looking back, it wasn't even that. It was a situation where basically we saw with Matthew Kent in heat number 2, got a little hook from Smeal, and he saved it. Could have easily went wrong way around and spun, but he kept it straight. But like you said, Kerr and Smeal both end up reaping the problems of that, with Kerr ending up the worst of it. And that's going to allow some new faces to jump to the low side here. Catania, name we haven't said much here, running the part-time schedule. Going to jump low in that number 24, and he wants to go to the front.
It's just that it's so unorganized at the moment. But you got Catania, who's going to be a stable hand, and Brent Roberts, who knows how to follow, who knows how to do this plate racing almost as good as anybody. Catania just got to keep it planted, keep it on the inside lane. Don't mirror drive. Just follow that white line.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Sears leads. He'll move to the inside lane. He's going to try to play both lanes, but he's got to be careful, because this is what's going to happen. He tried playing both lanes and got neither. And now, very conflicting. Almost 4 wide! That was Brent Roberts that moved to the inside lane, and he tied the wall, didn't he?
No, I think he avoided it. I'm looking.
Yeah, he avoided it, but it was close.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that effect, I thought that inside line was going to get a double hook there, and we were going to see the problem. He avoided it.
Wow.
Barely, Brent Roberts. He keeps his foot in it clean. Same thing with Ryan Pinnell. Neither car gets affected. Well, they get affected by it, but no damage for it. We stay green again. 2 incidences where, under most circumstances, you think a caution would have came out, but they save it. And even though some cars are ill-affected, they stay green, but now you can see that inside line all alone. It's Catania, Sears, Featherplace, Estes, Riggs, your top 5. And look at that top 5 drivers that really need that win. Sears and Riggs. Riggs would definitely be a spoiler if he won it.
Yeah, he would be.
And it's battle for the lucky dog right now. David Wright currently not battling for position in that inside line. Gosh, were to come out, and he was not avoided. It was involved in it. He would get his lucky lap back, as he currently is ahead of the other cars he's fighting, and Edward Marshall and Briley Wright. Looks like Estes and Riggs are thinking about taking the high groove here. The hole is now officially closed for Riggs, so he's stuck there. Estes is going to follow suit. David Wright gets a bad bump, brings it back up, stays clean. The hole is going to reopen for at least a second. But the cat is losing lives right now at the moment. How many before curiosity kills it? It's rolling on lap 88.
Insanity here. Within the last 50 laps of this race, Catania leads Sears, leads Featherplace. Very interesting for David Wright to be this high up. Because right now he is just at the epicenter. But very easy for that to become the epicenter. As we saw there just a couple laps ago. Steven Oberstedt, the pole sitter, he's moved up to the top 3 in the outside lane behind Estes and Riggs. Still a little bit of work to do, but the 38 beginning to crawl his way back forward. Has been very quiet since stage 1. He's trying to stay under the radar.
Not be sneaky like that. Do not want to draw too much attention.
Again, the trend going into this, the stat going into this, the underlying stat. The last 2 races at Atlanta, first-time winners came out of it. Cody Riggs not yet won an A squared. Richard Catania has not yet won a race in A squared. David Wright's not won a race yet in A squared.
Light his lap down, though, so he'd have to get his lap back first.
Correct, but he's in range. He's the first car on the lead lap.
True.
Theoretically, if something happens, he would be able to get that back. Steven Oberstedt in a really good spot right now. He won at Talladega, so he's good to go. You look at Ryan Pennell, who's not won a race yet.
I mean, yeah, if you look at that border right now, if I got my map correct, looking at the updated standings, the line right now is Ryan Pennell, I believe, is the last guy in on
He's
points. Counting. Okay, so it's right then, because I'm looking at wins and losses here. Regardless, Pennell, Braille's obviously got some wins. He's good. Forgot to count him. Briley Wright could use a win. Jack Mulkey, he's currently below the line. He needs a win. Matthew Leiter, James Kerr, Dustin Painter. I just got the wins to remind of him, but Alfred George. So there's some drivers in that back half that could play spoiler, including Cody Riggs, because Cody Riggs is right now 23rd in standings. He wins this. He bumps that lineup one more, and next thing you know, David Wright's now looking on the outside, looking in, and he's chasing out Feemster, and it's a 5-point gap. For some, they need this win to get themselves some breathing room, just so they do not have to sweat out this remaining 10 weeks, while others get this win, and you do not have to worry till the playoffs roll around. Because I'll be honest, you do not want to go into Daytona mean that your race you have to do good at. You do not want to make that the race. Daytona don't care what situation you're in. Daytona only cares if you can survive it. Coming to lap 95. Tanya Sears still front row on the inside. Estes loving that high line, keeping his car planted there with Cody Riggs in tow.
After tonight, there's 7 weeks into the playoffs. And 2 of them are road courses.
Yep. We know for a lot of these drivers we saw at the road courses weren't the strongest at said road courses. For some, those are basically mulligans. Those are rounds that they just have to go and get points on, and they know they won't win. Other things you're looking at: New Hampshire, Pocono, Daytona, and 2 other tracks I can't remember off the top of my head.
The tracks as they come after tonight. Obviously, we're at Atlanta tonight. It's New Hampshire, Pocono, Richmond, Michigan, the next 4. So you got a little bit of fun coming up these next 4. But then the last 2 races in the regular season: Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, and Daytona.
Ooh.
It's going to be a grueling
ringer. Yeah.
Rich Catania, part-timer, not worried about any of it, just wanting to kind of play spoiler.
Yep.
Right now, he's doing a really good job of that. And Lion Power kind of sitting there letting him. Tom Sears knows right now he's safe, points-wise. He's very well safe in this. Estes, likewise, already a race winner this season. He's good to go.
A win feels good, but if you're good enough on points, you don't want to risk wrecking it and give yourself a hole where you drop yourself down.
Second's better than 27th.
Yes, 100%. And Tom Sears, I don't know if he had to burn the fast car on the opening incident he was involved in, but he may not have a second one. Same thing with Feather Place. He may not have that fast car in the tank if he needs it. So it's a situation of you're playing with house money. You've used your bullet. Now you got nothing left. The question is, what do you do?
They have not used the fast car.
They have not. All right. Thanks for the correction.
Feather Place did not even come down pit lane when he was involved in that incident. Tom Sears was not involved at all.
Sears got spun around the opening caution, though. Because remember, it was him.
There was no damage.
Okay. So I know he was turned around. I know he got something, but obviously not enough to burn the fast repair or no damage at all. So
yeah, he got spun around, but there was no damage on it because he spun below the white line out of the way. So he's good to go.
Regardless, you do not want to burn it within 25 laps. If the caution were to come out, you end up getting wrecked and you have to burn it, then you're buried in the back trying to carve your way back up. So right now, Lion Power kind of playing in the clutches. They probably, right now in their communication chamber, they have a lap they're going to go. A lap where they're going to try to jump high and leave Catania at the dance. The question is, when will that lap be the lap that they jump out and do the dance? And in turn, the other question is, if they get a situation, will even the outside line be available to them if they need it?
I don't know if they're going to abandon Catania. Catania's their teammate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no point for them to abandon Catania. Because if Catania wins, then that's one less race. That's a wild card that is no longer in play.
Fair enough. You actually outsmarted me on that one.
Because Catania's racing Atlanta and Daytona.
Correct. So you're 100% right on that. That basically gives less chances for, because the other place already has a win. This helps Kruger, who obviously with connection issues couldn't be here tonight, but was here, but obviously didn't finish. But will help her, give her a chance to probably one opportunity to point her way in or get a little bit some more breathing room, and Sears as well. So you are correct. Did not think that one through. So it would make sense to stay behind that 24, but obviously Estes, Riggs, trying to find a way around Mulkey, because if you look at that outside line, drivers that want to spoil that. Riggs, Mulkey,
Riggs especially. For Bandit Racing, they're worried about Cody Riggs and that number 3 machine. Bradley Wright is not on lead lap, so he's not really a consideration for this one. Right now, they're looking at the number 3 machine, trying to get him in, because Tommy Reynolds is in the playoffs already. He's suspended this week. That's the factor we haven't even talked about after the events in Chicago last week. Reynolds not here tonight, but he's not needed to be. Probably easy just to take the night off and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I don't want to cause any more enemies or any more villain points for your total.
Well, not even so much that, but like it's so easy just to be involved in something tonight with how crazy it's been. Easy to sit on the sidelines, let it all happen, because it doesn't matter. At 4 race wins, he's got the most wins, 5 race wins, excuse me. Most wins than anybody in the season by a mile.
While we were talking about that, you saw as we were talking, you can see what happened at the lead. Tiny ends up getting kind of moved around here. They get around the 24, and it's now up to the front. Toby Estes, Cody Riggs, and Oberstadt, your top 3. One little mistake by that 24, lost a little bit of the line and a little bobble on the back, and that allowed that outside line to finally strike like vipers to get to the point. As our laps are ticking away, we're about to get under 25 to go. Just hit 25 to go.
And this is where it gets interesting, because 3rd through 5th have not won yet.
Nope.
Really, 3rd through 7th haven't won yet.
Yep.
3rd through 7th, 3rd,
8th, 9th, basically 8th, 9th as well, because Feemster and Sears. Leiter just cropped the top 10. He also hasn't won. If you look at that top 10, the only drivers have won: Toby Estes, Stefan Oberstadt, and Brandon Fetterplace. Everyone else in that top 10 at the moment would like a win. Some for pride, others for to get themselves in the playoffs. Ooh, Cody Riggs almost had a hole there. It closed up before he could do anything.
Bandit Racing versus Beatron on the inside lane. Ryan Pennell was trying to make something happen, but he's got no help. There's Matthew Kent coming to help him out, but he's going to lose some time. Line Power, Presidential on the fray.
And one thing also worth noting as well, obviously, as we know, we haven't really brought much of this up. It should be worth noting, every 12 rounds, drivers can make team swaps, driver swaps, whatever. And if you're a driver that maybe has job security issues or maybe could be replaced or bumped down, there's that regard of win here tonight, and you ensure yourself you'll finish out the season with that team, because they're not going to remove someone that's got a playoff seat.
The next movement period is after Indianapolis, so 5 weeks away.
Yeah. So you need to finish strong here, or get a win. You ensure yourself, at least for that 3rd window, you will be.
Pennell spun on his own.
We're about to have pit stops. That's going to change. Caution has not been called yet. Now it's been thrown.
I think Ryan spun on his own.
I heard him say something about Mulkey on his radio comms.
Oh,
and he's saying
did
net code, so I'm hearing Mulkey.
We'll take a look at it and see. But that changes everything.
Yep, everyone's going to pit here to get to the end. That's going to save Kerr, Roberts, and a few others, give himself some new life. I think Edward Marshall, actually, it's going to go to, I believe, David Wright, possibly. Yeah, Ryan Pinnell's not happy right now. He thinks Mulkey was the cause of whatever caused this. So green flag pit stops avoided. So unlike the spring race, no green flag pit stops will occur. So all that practice for pit road was nothing, but you always want to practice. We'll take a look at the replays. Pit stops occur.
We're going to go slow motion here.
Mm-hmm. So yes, Ryan Pinnell's alone on the high side.
Oh, Mulkey blinks out and just tags him.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, that's full-on latency there. Mulkey just completely blinked out. We saw it a couple times at the beginning of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And Smeal, obviously everyone checked up in front of Smeal. Smeal couldn't check up in time.
Yeah.
Clobbers his former teammate. Does Elrish George get involved in it? No, he splits the C's. Wow. Good job, Elrish George there.
Should be worth knowing Tobias has missed his box. Timing zone's all kind of messed up here. So I have to wait for that to update. But while that does update, we'll see cars coming out here. By the right, obviously going to get through the wave around here. But it looks like Matthew Kent, will inherit the lead. So it's going to be Kent, Oberstadt, Riggs, Feemster, Mulkey, your top five. And if Matthew Kent were to win this race, it raises another question because he's filling in. Obviously, when Don Ray had to step away, he jumped in to take that 2 seat. At the moment, I guess he would be considered a full-time ride, but may go back if Ray were to come back or something were to obviously replace that. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out with him. But a win here would be good for Race Control Kent, as we're going to see them all circle around here. Kent going to go low, Oberstadt high, Riggs high, Feemster low, Mulkey low, Catania high. It's going to be your first 6. Painter, Feather Place, Sears, and then someone else behind Feather Place is going to rock out your first 5 rows. That is going to be Austin Pinnell. I don't know what happened to Toby Estes, but he is now 1 down, currently slotted in 20 position. Looks like he missed his box, and he stopped, and he went back. Maybe got a penalty for reverse. Who knows? But regardless, he is now 1 down on the money stop of the night. He's going to be having to hope that another quick caution comes out to save his bacon.
I mean, 18 laps to go. It's Oberstadt, Kent, Feemster, Riggs, Mulkey, Catania, Painter, Fetter Place, Sears, Purnell, top 10. 19 cars on the lead lap. Green flag back in the air, and away we go. Kent with a good run. Presidential Racing trying to swoop in. Still a lot of time. 18 laps is an eternity at this point.
Yeah, plate racing, that's a couple gray hairs at least. Getting a little fanned out there. You can see that Wheaties machine of Withers going a little bit too low there. Going to get back up, but at least the positive at the very least is Beatron isn't linked up here. It's going to be Oberstadt and Riggs on the high groove, and the only car that can really push with the Beatron is Mulkey, and Mulkey is on that inside line. So President's Racing has the link up at the moment. Link out there for the 38.
It does not matter. At this point, we have entered the stage of the race where it does not matter. Like, if you're with your teammates, cool. If not, does not matter in iota.
True. But at least it's a little bit more you can coordinate moves and try to make moves a little bit better than with randoms.
Yeah.
Is my logic
Kevin,
on that one.
you should know better. It's not about the best, it's about the least terrible.
Fair.
At this stage. You should know better.
But we've seen play racing though come down to, like we saw at Daytona, the opening race, the 3B-tron racing at the end, locked out the front. We saw another situation.
Because those were the only 4 cars that, like, it was those 4 in Reynolds. They were the only ones in that group.
Dega as well. We saw that with link ups as well. I'm just saying, it's bet. You want friends are where you find them. I agree 100% on that point. But at the end of the day, it's better to know the person behind you says when you say go, they'll follow, rather than a person that may not go when you say go. Regardless,
the races here, as we just saw there between Oberstadt and Kent, the races at Atlanta, the last 2, have all had cautions in stage 3 that have shaken up the field. There's also a wreck on the last lap.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only plate track where that's been a factor.
Fair enough. Regardless, though, Rigg is going to jump to the point here. C's part for him. He's got Sears behind, and Matthew Leiter. Looking at that front right there, those 3 drivers in that thing, like, all use a win. Sears the least out of the 3 that needs it. And they're 3 wide, a few rows back here. Usually smells doom and gloom. Oh, Sears almost gets a bad bump there. He's going to go to the bottom.
It ended up timed out really well, because Riggs feigned to the bottom and then feigned back up top. But he gave Sears enough time to sort of build momentum up so he could get a charge. And Riggs from the lead down to 8th.
And that's experience for you.
It very much is.
Matthew can't get to try to charge that high groove. Cody Riggs, kind of the inexperience, got left out. Now he's going to try to get back up on that horse and try again.
With 13 laps to go, though, that's an awful bad time to fall off.
Yep. It's not impossible, though.
Sears has not won since Talladega last year. It's been 14 months.
The 14 cars had to wait 14 months at the moment. Will be more, maybe less. We'll have to wait to see how 12 laps concludes. And he's had his chances this season. Dega, Dover, one on the track. He's had his opportunities, and they just haven't been able to finish. It's been the iota of line power.
Leiter stuck in a bad spot. Not sure he wants to be in this position he's in right now because it's line power 1st and 3rd. With Leiter sitting in 2nd. He's got Mike LaJoy in 4th, but Mike LaJoy has been very impotent when it comes to pushing so far, especially in the outside lane, which is where they'll need to go.
Yeah, and then after that, you got Feemster. We already saw some of the troubles with Feemster being the pusher.
Right now, Tom Sears sitting in a catbird seat unless they manage to defy the odds that they've set so far in this race. It is 4 wide behind.
The hold. Overstack got turned. That may be a caution up the field.
Yeah, if it wasn't before, it is now.
Oh, Riggs has got a big lick there. We'll see if that car is salvageable. Looks like it's still going at the very least. But few cars stopped. Just saw Kerr scrape the wall, and at that point, I'm like, they were 3-4 wide, and it was just wasn't going to end pretty.
Better place in it. Oberstadt, Mulkey, Kerr, Riggs, Withers, among others.
David Wright, who won't get his lap back because of it.
And
so take a look at it. Just see right there. George, Kent, and Oberstadt looked like Oberstadt tried to get around when Kerr went in the wall.
Yeah, they put Oberstadt 3 wide there. Kerr. No,
yeah, because
Kerr had an unforced error there.
Yeah, and then Oberstadt, they were 3 wide. And
Oberstadt
had
nowhere to go because Kerr put himself in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But Oberstadt was already 3 wide with Matt Kim in the middle.
Yeah, and he had nowhere to go. So Oberstadt just had to pray that he'd make it, and he didn't.
That's a rough go of it. We're going on board with Oberstadt here because he had a really rough time of it here. Actually, this is Brandon Fetterplace. We'll take a look at his perspective, too, because he also got a big lick.
Ooh.
Yeah, Matthew Kent made it through. Cody Riggs was next in line, and Riggs was not so lucky.
Nope.
Got that there. There's Jack Mulkey. little bit of contact for his troubles.
Mm-hmm. So I already know, as we're taking a look here, I already know one casualty of that incident was the 42. Toe link broken. Probably done day for him. We'll see Overstat's perspective here.
Yeah, Curve put himself in the wall there.
Yeah.
Ryan Pinellas cleaned it through.
Yeah. He needed to. That was... Door was closing like Indiana Jones with a wall. Got his hat out and everything. And he'll fight another fight.
Matthew Kent's not going to have a good perspective of this because he was already ahead of it all.
Yeah.
Because
he was 3 wide, and he took the whole Oberstat needed.
Kerr moves to the middle lane. A little bit of contact there. I don't know. Again, don't know what happened with Kerr, but Kent forced his way forward and was like, "Thank you."
Mm-hmm. It was either going to be him or Oberstat, and he was the one that went through the hole. Oberstat couldn't make it through. So let's go back to live action here. 2 cars currently on pit lane, Wright and Briley Wright and David Wright. David Wright's day is basically done with a broken toe link. Briley Wright coming in for a little extra service here. Still 1 down. Tobias has got his lap back, and we'll quickly cycle through the field here. It's Sears and Catania 1-2. Then it is Leiter and Themester next row. Mike LaJoy and Oscar Purnell row 3. Justin Painter and Bren Roberts row 4. Alfred George, Matthew Kent row 5. Further back, just finish out, it's Ryan Pennell, Edward Marshall, Cody Riggs, James Kerr, Stefan Oberstadt, Brandon Featherplace, Tommy Withers, Jack Moakley, John Smeal, and Toby Estes. Those are the remaining order of 11 through 20. With Brian Wright tagging on here, 1 down. And actually, Dave Wright gets out as well, so both cars will continue on and just try to finish this race.
We're coming to 7 laps to go when everything kicks off here. Feeling a lot of deja vu to last year when Jonathan Homebrink won his first race in the A-Square Cup Series. So far, his only win in the A-Square Cup Series. Green flag in the air. And away we go. Sears and Leiter get a good start. Catania bogged down a little bit, so did Feemster.
Mm-hmm. Feemster going to go low line here.
A smart move because Mike LaJoy had one of the worst restarts we've seen all day.
Yep. So going to cycle through here.
Sears hugging that bottom lane like his life depends on it. His teammate leads the outside lane, so he can kind of moderate that a little bit.
Yeah, but outside line has no help. Kent's bringing the cavalry with Riggs and Featherplace.
That's a wounded cavalry.
Oh, you can see Ryan Pennell there fighting Alfred George a little bit further back. They'll get it shaked out here. 6 to go.
Pressure's on at the front of the field.
Catania in the wall.
That's Catania. And there's
Dave
more trouble.
Avoid it.
Someone else in the wall. That's Edward Marshall that tagged the wall.
2 separate 1-car incidences, so I guess we stay green.
Caution's out now. It wasn't a single car incident with Marshall because Tobias was also involved there. We saw him slow as well.
Yeah,
this is an overtime run now.
Yep. So that's gonna be the first of 3 attempts. Look at that pace car drifting.
A late caution call here, so we'll try to go back and catch it all for you.
Yep. It was really 2 incidences. Catania had his own little thing, and that caused a checkup that allowed Marshall and the rest with Mulkey.
It's the second incident here that causes the caution because Marshall.
Catania? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and with the proximity of everything going on there, they're going to group that as the same incident.
Yeah, because you had Catania and Roberts have a little touch, sent Catania hard into the wall, and then it's at the scatter that caused Edward Marshall and Mulkey to have their incident.
Yeah, they're going to group that as the same incident, so that's why it was a little bit late, because no one realized that Marshall got as big of a hit as he did.
Yeah. Because, we saw Catania hit it up the front, and we saw that piece of fender fly off. And everyone thought we made it through, and then Marshall, we cut to the camera and saw Marshall there with smoke with Estes, so that was incident 2. 2 cars in the same one.
Estes wasn't involved in it. I should probably clarify there. Estes slowed down for it.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
completely lost out there because he was trying to make his way forward and went to the very back of the field.
Yep. Riley Wright gets one of his laps back. He's still not on the lead lap, though, so it's going to need at least a couple more of these cautions to happen for a chance to get back in this thing. Obviously, no one's pitting unless you have damage. Track position is key. Sears just lost one of the only friends of line power he had up at the front, but again, friends are where you can find them. And obviously, he doesn't have a choice, but the question is, who does he want behind him at the moment? Does he want Feemster or does he want LaJoy? I feel like if he had a choice, he'd want Feemster, just because Feemster gets a little bit better going than LaJoy does. So here's the choose. Sears low, Lighter low, Feemster high, LaJoy late call there low, Roberts high, Painter low, Austin Pinnell and Matthew Kent high. So we wait for this cycle. So it's gonna be Sears, Sears, Feemster, first row. Lighter, LaJoy, second row. Actually, Lighter, Roberts, second row. I should correct that. LaJoy, Austin Pinnell, row 3. Justin Painter and Matthew Kent, row 4. Alfred George, Cody Riggs, row 5. "20 cars on lead lap here. Marshall will catch back up here, and he will put us with 20 on lead lap. This technically will not be a green light checker. This will be a natural caution here, so technically will be a green white checkered, even though it will not count to the total. Sears 3 laps away from getting a win. Feemster as well. Look at this top 5, top 6. Looking back at the winners list, only Bren Roberts has that win. So a lot of drivers going for that hunger, wanting that win. Pace car in. And away we go. Sears, good launch. Feemster, just the same. LaJoy gets kind of bogged down, but gets an all right restart. Austin Pinnell jumps low. Roberts gonna ditch Feemster. LaJoy gonna close the hole. Roberts gonna have to go back up high. The inside line has the momentum of cars right now. They're coming off of 4. We are going to start the white flag lap, and it's going to be Feemster by a hair. Sears gets a little squirrely off the back of the 83. Feemster going to try to side draft aggressively here. Top 4 basically nose to tail. It's about what line gets the momentum in the lunge.
Someone's going to get turned here. Someone's going to get turned so bad here. But Lighter's pushing the absolute snot out of Sears. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. They're 3 wide behind. Contact! 3 wide! 3 wide!
Who
got Sears?
Sears, Feemster, Lighter, LaJoy, Pinnell, your top 5.
3 wide across the line, but Tom Sears will go to victory lane.
I'd almost say it was almost 4 wide. No one giving an inch, all crossing the line there, and Sears gets it by a nose.
Wow.
Yeah. The Feemster showing some respect there.
Yeah, they Feemster a little bit of assembly required on the 21 machine. Congratulatory bump by Toby Estes.
Just looking at one of these screenshots here, as soon as I cross the line here, you got chaos around. 4 cars jumping to the line. So basically a 4 wide photo finish between Feemster, Sears, Lighter, and LaJoy. Sears is going to burn it down. It took 14 months last time he got to burn it down in victory in the A-Square Cup Series. And he'll get to do it again here on Atlanta. And will lock himself into the playoffs.
You see there on the information ticker right there, the information screen. One win before today at Talladega, the spring race back in 2022. Yeah, he's gonna burn that one down completely.
Yeah, I know. It's all smiles in the Sears camp. Line power 2.
We'll look at that final lap because that was insanity.
Yeah. Right now, let's got this screenshot. You got 4 cars sideways, 5, as they were coming to the line. Yet all of them hit the line without anyone getting stopped. So here's a look at the finish here.
This is the white flag.
Yep. Sears getting pushed aggressively there by the
Leiter.
Leiter.
I would say as much as Leiter almost fumbled that, the way he pushed Sears throughout turns 1 and 2 to get him back in that advantage is insane.
He's going to get a Christmas card for that performance. And you can see him all getting argy-bargy in the back. You're going to see Smeal get a little incident, but that's irrelevant to this. Again, Painter just a lock, just hoping a hole opens. And it looks like it opens here. He's got a chance. He's getting the run, and it's just there.
Yeah, we're going to back it up just a little bit because everyone's because we're wondering who drew contact first there and all of that. And it looks like Feimster moves down into Sears. Leiter moves up into Sears and forces Sears into Feimster and forces both of them up the track. Hard hit by Bren Roberts.
Yeah, because that was Leiter hitting the back of Bren Roberts there, sending him into the wall. So Leiter came up into Sears and also clipped Bren Roberts. You can just see 5, 6, 7 cars all spinning around there.
That's a thumbnail if we've ever seen one.
Yeah. If you want a super speedway racing at the finish there, that's your thumbnail right there for it. But like I said, 4 cars all within a chance here, cross the line around the same time in both Mike LaJoie, Matthew Leiter, Kevin Feimster, Tom Sears, and Sears brings home the checkered flag. And all 4 of those drivers needed wins. One of them got it. The other 3 going to have to go hungry and try to get something in the remaining 7 weeks.
Wow. We'll talk to our top 3. Phenomenal race. We'll talk to them when we have a chance to. Obviously, everyone kind of debriefing because that was a wild finish here. Tom Sears, race winner. Kevin Feimster, second place. Matthew Leiter in third. Ahead of Mike LaJoie and Austin Purnell, who rounded out the top 5. The running order is going to be on the left side of your screen. And then we'll go over the full breakdown here in a little bit. For the moment, though, we're going to talk to our race winner. We're going to talk to Tom Sears. Good old Lurkin' Tom. Lurkin, this is Carmen from the ABM booth. Get a copy.
Copy.
You sound very subdued for somebody who just got a first win for the first time in over 14 months. What a finish. What a drive. Walk us through it.
I mean, really, it was track position. It was kind of the big deal all night, so I knew if I could just be there at the end and make something happen, you know, that's how these races go. Don't get caught up in the back too late, and then you have a shot at it. So at the end there, I was trying my best to stay on the bottom. I was getting pushed so hard I got moved a little bit, but just fine. We hung on to it, and then a little bit of chaos ensued, and we somehow made it across the line by a splitter. So that was an exciting win.
I would say a little bit more exciting than your win at Talladega last year. And what a time for your first win of the season to come into form. Obviously, you were the driver highest in points without a win coming into the night. So you were looking pretty safe. But now you're guaranteed to be into the playoffs here, into the round of 16, with 7 weeks left until the playoffs begin. Was that beginning to kind of weigh in a little bit, and needing that race win but not having it, and seeing everyone else getting these race wins? You look at, obviously, Dustin Painter has a race win. Withers has a race win. Obviously, you know, you look at all those drivers that were getting race wins that were outside the top 16. Was there becoming a concern that you might get shuffled all the way down to that cut line?
You know, I was a little concerned about it, but when I do race, I usually get a top 10, so I knew I was decent looking on points. And I should be able to make it in, but getting a win definitely makes you feel a lot better for the rest of this season here until we get to the playoffs. So glad I got one, and hopefully we can get Edward and Emma a win too.
Obviously, Brandon Featherplace already got a race win earlier this season. You join him in that regard. As you mentioned there, Ever Marshall and McCreary, the other two team drivers that need a race win and need a little bit of luck here this afternoon. 7 weeks left. Tom, obviously a phenomenal job tonight getting your first win of the season. A very well-deserved one. You're up front most of the race. A lot of teamwork went into that as well. Obviously working with Rich Catania, who's on a part-time schedule. He looked like he was a massive help tonight.
Oh, he was great. He was great tonight. I was very happy with Richie. I'm glad he's on the team.
Yeah, a phenomenal team effort tonight kind of kept you up there and kept you buoyed in the position you need to be to get this race win tonight. But does anyone in particular want to shout out at all? The floor is yours. Congratulations. Obviously a fan favorite here as far as everyone watching. Well-deserved win, Tom, winning here at Atlanta. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the stream. Really appreciate all the work that you two do here. It's just the quality of your broadcast says a lot about how much you care. So really appreciate that. Just want to thank everyone at Line Power. Unfortunately, I haven't had an equipment failure tonight, which is unfortunate. But everyone had a good showing tonight. And yeah, just proud of the team effort. And let's keep on locking in Line Power cars in the playoffs.
You did a phenomenal job tonight, Tom. Again, race winner. It's 2 cars for your team now locked to the playoffs with 7 weeks to go. New Hampshire next week. What a difference it's going to be, but you are now pressure-free. You are in the playoffs. We get to see you in the round of 16.
Yep, I'm excited. Can't wait.
Have a good one, Tom, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Thank you.
That was Tom Sears, our race winner. We'll work down the order. We'll work down to Kevin Feemster, second place here for the race for the podium interviews here. We'll talk to Kevin Feemster, then Matthew Letter after that. Kevin, this is Carmen from the ABM booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
What a way to improve on your previous best finish in the series, which came with this track last year. Second place tonight here in Atlanta. So close for a race win. It was a photo finish, as everyone's discussing in the ARCS Discord server. Walk through your perspective of that. It was between you and Tom Sears at the front of the field, and it couldn't get much closer.
Yeah, I was landing on them hard. Since once we took the green, I was using that side drive. These cars, amazingly, in the middle of the turn, that's where you'll get most of it. So that's what I was doing. I was kind of squeezing down, and just that last turn coming out of there, I had momentum on him. And I knew it. I was like, man, he's going to use his fenders on me, which is fun. That's racing. So, hell of a finish. Great win for him. That was just fun. That was pure fun.
Obviously, a wild time tonight. A little bit of intensity all throughout this race. Obviously, you spent a lot of it on the outside lane with mixed success. But obviously, this racing, it brings out some completely different qualities here. Obviously, we saw Indianapolis, a complete alternate, a change in pace from what Indianapolis was last night for the OAP Supersport Series. Going into the night, what is it about this form of racing that just kind of suits you so well? Because you've done so well in various plate races tonight, up until tonight, and extending that even here tonight at Atlanta.
Like when I first got on iRacing and racing and stuff like that, it was like, hey, super speedways, they're fun, right? And I can push. And everybody who be around me knows I can push. I like being close to others. I like the side draft. It's just, I enjoy it. It's not stressful for me. My, heart rate doesn't get up. I'm cool as a cucumber on super speedways. So it's just like, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable pushing people through the corners, which is, with the Fords, I'll say, with the Fords in this next gen, no matter what car's in front of you, you can push it the entire track, which was awesome. I was able to do that with Sears in the heat, the first heat that we had, and I was able to do it a few times tonight as well. But it's just, I enjoy it. I enjoy the adrenaline of, the super speedway racing.
It worked out in a phenomenal fashion tonight. Second place here, so close to a race win, and a lot of much-needed points here tonight. Obviously, stage points, both stage 1, stage 2, and obviously the end of the race here tonight. Works out very well in your favor. How you feeling about the next couple weeks, though? New Hampshire next week, Pocono after that. Going to be a little bit more challenging than what we saw in Atlanta for different reasons. But how you feeling about those next 2 races as you try to get yourself a race win?
Yeah, New Hampshire is going to be. I'm hoping for a top 10. It's not my best track, but the week after is Pocono, and that's not my best track. So things are going to have to fall in my favor for me to, I'll try being competitive. That's how I race. I'll be competitive out there, but let's just hope things fall in my favor. Get some stage points. I really need more stage points. And hopefully walk out of there top 10, maybe top 5, and I'll be happy with that. There's so many fast guys in this league, and I know that Sears could go back to back being at New Hampshire next week. It's just that's how he's good there, and there's so many other people are good, and just fast, and it's hard. It's hard getting a P2 at a super speedway, let alone a mile and a half intermediate track, or one that actually takes some technical skills.
Well, it worked out for you this evening. That 21 car finished second place at your team's home track, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Before I let you go, if there's anyone I want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on an incredible result here. A very entertaining finish, to say the least. Second place by just a splitter, by about 6 inches worth of space tonight.
Yeah, I just got to shout out my wife. She's awesome. She puts up with all my racing and everything like that. It gets frustrating with me sometimes, as much as I race, but I love her for it. So I got to give her a shout out. I want to shout out Herco, which is on the side of my car, Sugarland Moonshine. Unfiltered Dirty Air podcast, which might have an episode tonight with that. And I got to shout out Presidential Racing. Great communication tonight. It was awesome. It was awesome being with our team tonight, and spirits are up, and it was great. Shout out to Ryan for putting on ARCS, and shout out to all the admin as well. And thank you for broadcasting. Every broadcast is awesome, so I appreciate that.
Kevin, obviously phenomenal job here tonight. Second place finish here in one of the closest finishes in ARCS Ace Crew Cup Series history. Enjoy that little piece of history, and hopefully we get to see you do well again next week in Loudon.
Thanks, Carmen. You have a good night.
Thank you, too. That was Kevin Feemster, second place finisher here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Finishes his best running finish, second place here at Atlanta. Track's done really well for the 21 car this season. We got one more person to talk to, and that's Matthew Leiter, who is going to probably, I would say he's probably a little bit bittersweet, seeing how close he was to potentially getting a race win there. Had he avoided making contact there with Tom Sears at the end, he probably could have a different story there. But P3 tonight for Matt Leiter, his best finish of the season so far as well. Matt, this is Carmen from the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What a race. Those final 2 laps were just about everything. Best finish of the season for you in the 83 car, but you were so close to potentially getting a race win. Kind of just walk through that last few laps for you and how your race turned out.
Well, from the restart, with the fact that Theme was behind me when we came to lane choose, I figured Theme, if I went outside or opposite of what Sears did, he was going to go with Sears. And during practices, I realized he was a really good pusher, so I was like, no, I can't allow them to hook up. They're going to end up just running away from me. I'm going to not have a chance. So I stayed behind Sears. Through that second to last lap, coming out of turn 4, I realized Theme was actually getting a little bit of a push due to side draft. So I said, nope, I need to buckle down, get on Sears' bumper, and if I spin him, I spin him. Didn't spin him. Got all the way around to turn 4, and I think I got into him a little much. Got him up into Theme. They both touched, went up the track. I took the gap under. Bren Roberts then went from pushing Theme to pushing Sears. Mike tried to push me as much as he could. And as we come into the tri-oval, I think Theme came down to try and door slam Sears to try and take as much speed off of him as he could. And in doing so, he hit not only Sears, but Bren, who slid him down into me. Had he not have hit Bren, I think that race is mine. But he did. Unfortunately, I lost a little bit of speed, because at the time where the contact was made, where Feem and Bren make contact with, where Feem, Sears, and Bren all make contact, I'm actually going like a mile an hour faster. So if they don't make contact, I probably have that win.
Obviously, it's a lot of a situation and placing and timing, and it almost worked out for tonight. Still a phenomenal effort. We know how good you are on these plate tracks, and there's one more coming up at the end of the regular season at Daytona. But there's a few races between now and then. New Hampshire and Pocono coming up. Obviously, we know that you can kind of wheel and deal at some of these more refined racetracks like New Hampshire, like Pocono. Obviously, Michigan's in that mix as well. How do you feel? And this has been a season where it's been mixed luck for you. This is one of those few. This is, I think, one of the first really plate tracks of the season where you've been able to actually get to the finish and sort of dictate your own destiny. How do you feel going into these next couple of weeks so you can kind of capture that momentum that you've sort of supercharged this week and kind of take that into those next two races?
While I don't feel overly confident about my abilities at New Hampshire or Richmond coming up, I'm looking at Pocono and Michigan mainly. Pocono ended up winning the SNS series, what, two months ago-ish? 3 months ago-ish? Off of a very bold call that I made during Green Flag. Michigan, during Feemster's little off-season winter series that he had, I feel like I did very strongly there until I got a penalty exiting the pits. As I was like second or third to Edward Marshall in that race for a good portion of it. So those are the two races that I really feel confident. I also feel a little bit more confident about Indy Road Course coming up. I don't know the other two besides Daytona that's going to be after that, though.
So walking through these last 7 races before the playoffs begin, obviously next week's New Hampshire, Pocono, Richmond, Michigan, the next 4, Indy, Watkins Glen, and Daytona.
Oh, it's the Glen.
Yep, the Glen is the next to last race in the regular season. Yeah, so it's a power pack punch to end the regular season. So some pretty good races there for you. Obviously, yeah, we know that you won a Pocono in the SNS series, so that's definitely a highlight there. Michigan, I'd have to assume that you're probably pretty good there as well. So some good races coming up there, Matt. Obviously, going to try to do your best to keep hold of the momentum you got tonight. One of the best finishes of the season for you. But before I let you go here and obviously let everyone kind of unwind and relax here from a wild race in Atlanta, if there's anyone you want to shout out and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on an amazing run. 3rd place tonight, part of one of ARC's closest finishes in this series. But if you have anyone to shout out in particular, the floor is yours.
In all honesty, it's just the staff that's able to put together these races. You and Kevin for being able to just do these races and stream them. And then Kerr for at least giving me a shot out of OAP. Those are the 3 main ones. Of course, there's everybody else who races, but without them, we don't have a league.
Right, absolutely. Matt, you did a great job tonight. Good luck finally on your side for a change. And at the podium finish, top 3. A lot of extra needed points here as you try to make a push for the playoff round of 16. Matt, enjoy the podium result. And obviously, we'll be seeing you next weekend. But
hopefully, I'll be back in here next weekend.
Absolutely. Hopefully, get to talk to you again. Obviously, a lot of racing next weekend. Saturday for OAP and Sunday at New Hampshire for the ARCS Square Cup Series. Can't wait to see you back on track. Love the scheme. Love the effort tonight. P3, Matt Leiter. Enjoy it. And we'll be seeing you next week.
Thank you. And both of you stay safe.
Thank you. You as well. That was Matt Leiter. 3rd place finish here tonight for him, the 83 machine for Black Acid Racing, the best finisher for that team. Really a 3-4-5 for that team. Leiter, LaJoy, and Purnell all finishing nose to tail in that regard. Here is the full results. Tom Sears, Kevin Feemster, Matthew Leiter, top 3. 9 milliseconds separated the race win tonight. Mike LaJoy, Austin Purnell rounded out the top 5. Thought LaJoy was in the top 5. Interesting. Oh, LaJoy is in the top 5. I just read his name. Dustin Painter won this race in the spring, finishes 6th in the summer. Really good race for him in that Prophecy Motorsports number 65. Bryn Roberts in 7th place. Adam Matthew Kent, Cody Riggs. After being involved in a couple serious accidents, recovered to a top 10. Very well earned there for the number 3 machine, as he still looks for his first win in the series. Ryan Pinnell, home race, top 10. Good recovery for that number 12 machine, as all chaos broke loose there at the end of the race. James Kerr, Elrich George, sitting in the top 12. Brandon Fetta placed 13th. Steven Oberstadt and Jack Mulkey in 14th to 15th. B-Tron dominated the opening stanza of this race, but 14th to 15th, very bittersweet end of the race for them as they try to process this and move on to New Hampshire next week. Edward Marshall, not a good race in form for him. Typically really good on these 1.5 miles, but chaos caught him out there. 16th for car 16. Tommy Withers already in the playoffs, won at Las Vegas. An extra one would have been nice, but just never really got himself near the front of the field here tonight. That number 23 car finishes 17th. Toby Estes, a driver that was at the front of the field, had an issue on pit lane that moved him all the way to the back of the field. He ended up 18th here at the end of the race. Again, caught up in traffic there once he had that issue on pit lane and never fully recovered from it. And looking down the order, Richie Catania did his job to help as much as he could for Tom Sears, and it worked out at the end of it. John Smeal finished a lap down. Same with Briley Wright, and David Wright finished 9 down. Emma Kruger only completing 2 laps in this race. Pandemonium is how this race ended, but absolute chaos here at the end of the race at Atlanta. Tomorrow, we're not broadcasting, but it's the ABN Prototype Sprint Cup from Suzuka. And Wednesday, we go to Thunder Valley. It's the ABN M Box Cup Series from Bristol. That's the next few days in advance.
It's not Bristol. We did Bristol last week. 2 weeks ago.
It is Atlanta. Yeah.
Yep.
It's Atlanta. Everything mixed together. It's Atlanta, then Sonoma.
Sonoma. Yep.
Which is funny because I scheduled those races in iRacing yesterday, so I should know that. But either way, so Monday is tomorrow Suzuka, Wednesday's Atlanta, Old Atlanta, bumpy Atlanta. And then Thursday, it's New Hampshire for Champ Car. All these tracks, we have similar schedules, but they're so different. Oh, it's going to be a wild time. But regardless, we hope you all had fun. We thank you all for spending your time with us here on a wonderful Sunday evening for racing. On behalf of everyone here for ARCS, for the A Square Cup Series and all of its partners, and everyone here at ABN Studios, medical commentator Kevin Young, I'm Carmen Sienna. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, have some fun in the week ahead. But we'll see you next time at Atlanta once again on Wednesday. Until then, so long, everybody.